Everyone, I'm Brian, Career Advice UK, and I am been off for a little bit because I have been sick with a big, huge asthma flare up, and now I'm getting over it and coming back slowly to doing my live. So, if you have a question of anyone, hey, good to see you, Jade and CD and Daphne. So today, what I'm going to do is the way I do my lives, if you're just joining for the first time, is this. If you have a question, just put it down and I'll pick it up on the first come. Oh, well, thank you, CD, for the roses. Thank you. Oh, that's amazing. Thank you so much. So I'll pick up the questions on a first come, first served basis. I will also be talking a little bit about career changes, especially if you are a teacher, firefighter, police officer, nurse, or in the military, and you're looking to do a career change in this very kind of volatile, very unpredictable job market in the UK. I will be talking a bit about that in order to get some questions and take it where it is. So the type of questions I do take tend to be on CVs, cover letters, interviews, starting a small business, university selection, university courses, degrees, talking about AI as it impacts the job market. Hey, Suga and Zero Max, good to see you. And to pick up those types of questions from you. So if you do have a question, always feel free to put it down. Like I say, I do pick it up. Hey, thank you, CD, for the shepherd. That's amazing. Thank you. That's amazing. Thank you so much. So pick it up, and I will pick it up. Also, too, just to let you know, as part of Career Advice UK, what I also do is I do run Leap Forward Careers, and I do offer, as part of that, I've just published a book called the UK Job Seekers Playbook 2026. I have been, as promoting it, I've given away some free codes to get it as a free CD, as a free download. If you want the download and you want the code, all that I ask is you just direct message me afterwards. I'll send you the information. And that if you do take the free download, if you find it helpful, I would just encourage you to leave a review for me on my website, along with leaving a review, if you can, and your account allows it on Amazon, to also leave it on Amazon for me. Also, too, as part of the site, I do offer a 15-minute free consultation for you to talk through your career issues or questions that you have and try to get you on the right path. It's no pressure, no cost, and if you want to pick up a service, great. If you don't, totally understand, but it's there for you. So that is leapforwardcareers.com. So just take a look. If you have any questions, again, just put it down. More than happy to pick it up for you. So, as I said today, what we're going to talk about until I start getting some questions and picking up questions is this, talking about career change. So if you are looking to do a career change, especially in teaching, firefighter, police officer, police officer, nurse, military, if you work really in the public sector job, you have a kind of one of these jobs that are really important, to society. One of the things that, I've experienced many years ago, I did teach, and you do wind up getting burnt out from teaching, and you do go on to do a lot of things. And through my career working in IT, the one thing that I did find a lot of, encountered a lot of when I was doing like courses on software, is that a lot of teachers went into software training because the software companies, the people who will do the training, who will do software training, will look for certified teachers. And so a lot of them will do it. It's from what I understand from those who've done it. It is better hours, you get more pay, less pressure. And so a lot of teachers will do that and make a career change into it. And so really what it is, so if you are looking for a career change, one of the issues that I do find with it's one of the things I just have a question. Sorry for the little bit. Let me um um so what I will do is, so let me so what I typically do is this. I've had a question about guest spots. And the way I've done it in the past is with the gifts, when I hit 1,500, and again, it is, 1,500, once I hit it, I will pick a guest to do like a 5-minute guest spot to ask a question. And it's randomly picked. It is not the one who gives the most will get the guest spot. It doesn't operate that way. When I've done it in the past, when I've hit 1,500 points, it has been typically people who have not contributed or have given a very small amount. And it is done on a random basis of those who want to do it. So what I will typically do is on it is that I will do it at 1,000 points. I do give like a free CV tip. I can talk literally hours on CVs and give away a lot of tips on them and not cover them all. So it's at 1,000 points, I'll do that. 1,500, I will do a guest spot. At 2,000, I will do an interview tip again. I can do literally hundreds of those. At 3,000, I do have a CV template. And at 4,000, I will do a I do have a free thing that I will give away, but I won't give it away until we hit 4,000, and it will go to everyone who asks for it. So at 4,000, once I hit that, there is a free gift for everyone. And like I said too, hey Reese and Killer Asteroids, I remember you, Killer Asteroids, from my previous ones, just starting back for it. I can, okay. If you have, so, okay, so if you want to do interviews, the main thing is, if you do watch a lot of my videos, what I do talk about in my videos for interview tips is this. If you are going to interview, things have changed over the last year. When you interview, doing the kind of giving generic, vague responses like, I like working with people, I work well under pressure, I can deliver, those that kind of sound really kind of catchy on a LinkedIn profile, just doesn't work. What you need to do is give specific examples. So if you're going to talk about, you like working with people, or you're kind of a people person, give examples. So if you were, let's say, working in a previous customer service role, what you want to start to do is say where you maybe helped a customer, or where you got maybe really great enjoyment of helping someone through a difficult situation, something you can draw on. Now, does that mean when you go to an interview and you have no experience, you have to talk about job-related experience. Absolutely not. What you need to do is this. What you need to do is talk about an experience that relates to the job. So the more you prep on it by reading that job description, you can start to draw on that experience. And so if you are going to interview, best thing to do is think about experiences that relates to that job experience, that job description, and then talk about that in the interview. So best advice, be specific, avoid being vague. That is good. Mojob, I don't. Okay, so, okay, good question, Killer Asteroids. Talk about, let's, camera is moving a little bit because I'm pulling the cord. Sorry about that, everyone. So what it is, tell me about yourself, is really a very interesting type of question. It is one that sets off the whole tone of the interview. So it is really kind of pivotal. Telling me about yourself is has a lot of different nuances to it. One of the reasons why people will say, tell me something about yourself, is a way to kind of get you to relax, because people relax and begin to ease and really lighten up. It's when they start talking about themselves. People love to talk about themselves. What they're really looking for is this. They want to understand three things. One is, why have you applied for the role? What you're bringing to it, and also to what, a bit about your career history. So what you start with is your current role, quickly talk about what you've done in previous roles as it relates to the job. You then talk about a bit why you applied. So again, doing a little bit of research onto the company, and understanding that, and then what you kind of bring. So talk again about your successes, what you've done. So if you can do that, that would be great. So yes, Noah. How long should your questions be for an hour? It is not really. Let me just give you give me just a one moment, Killer. Okay, so questions, ideally, they'll ask you, the way the interview works is, it depends really a lot on the organization company, so this is just very kind of generic. The way the interview will be is they will call you back, you'll sit there, and they'll probably for about 5 minutes just quickly explain the structure of the interview, who they are, introduce themselves. So it's an introduction. Then you'll be asked a bunch of questions. So what they will do is then they'll ask you a couple questions. It will probably be about 9 questions. If it's a panel of 2 to 3, I'd expect between I would probably expect between 5 to 10 questions total. Each one response should be each one your response should be so after you do that, they'll ask you each question. Your response should be ideally anywhere between 30 seconds. If it's going to be a long one, up to 5 minutes. But ideally, you should be hitting for 2 minutes each. At that point, once they've asked you all your questions, they'll give you an opportunity to ask your questions. So they'll ask you for your questions, so you'll have an opportunity to ask. So what they will do is they will ask you, do you have any questions? And so you'll ask maybe 1 to 3. What you want to avoid with those is asking anything that is job specific, such as benefits or pay. Asking about flexible working, anything like that that you would bring up in the interview when they make the offer to you. So you want to hold off on those. What you want to ask are specific type of questions relating to the job. So read the job description, come up with 3 questions. Typically, the ones that I will ask are things like, so what you want to do is, with your question, is come up, what I'll ask is things like, what are your expectations for me within the first 90 days? What training and support will I get to help me to do the job? And also to, maybe take something from the job description and ask something in regards to that, if it is, because I do management sometimes, I will maybe ask if it involves managing a team, I will ask something about the team. Can you tell me something about the team? How long has the team been, active? What are any issues, that you can tell me about, and kind of just ask those types of questions. Those are fine. Or if there's something in the job description that it seems maybe a little vague, you don't understand, ask those types of questions. I would say kind of what I would say now. Killer Asteroid has asked about preparing for an interview, writing answers to questions. I would say it is okay to kind of do a bit of prep. I would say I would not get really wrapped into doing a lot of practicing answering questions a lot. The reason why is because when I've done that before, and the problem happens is this. You start to kind of get a mindset in your thinking, you're going in with a lot of confidence, and then all of a sudden you get asked a bunch of questions you weren't prepared for, so you're really kind of caught off guard. So if you do start to, do a lot of prep and getting answers and you're not asked those questions, it really throws you. What I would say instead is to start to practice answering and kind of just going into this type of structure interview of, practicing telling about a situation, what you did, and then from that, talk about what was the result of your intervention. And so it gives you a bit more. And the way you do this is really simple. You look at the job description, then start matching, go line by line and start matching each job, each task, or whatever you want to call it, in the job description to an experience that you've had. And as you go through this, you'll start to see certain experiences repeat and repeat. And so what I start with those then is to start to develop those that you see keep on repeating themselves into this whole kind of structure of what is the task, why did it come up, what you did, and what was the result. And if you can do that, you'll be better off. It saves you a lot of heartache. It saves you a lot of anxiety, and it keeps you from being kind of like a deer in a headlight, kind of like this, because you get questions that you have not prepared for. So what we would say, I have had a question from Noah here. So let me just take a look at your question. Okay, how many hours a week are you working, Noah? Um, um, how many hours? How many hours a week are you working? Um, okay, so all right, so if they are paying you, um, okay, so that's not so bad. Um, okay, so it's 8:30. It's 8:30 when you're in school because you're not allowed at 15. The way I understand it in the UK. You're only allowed to work outside of school days in the maximum of um, 2 hours on a school day. Um, so there is. So I would say, because you're 15, you don't have a lot of ability to negotiate. Um, I would say, you know, um, whatever they offer probably would take. I think that is. I would. I think that may be too much. So let's. Okay. Um. I would say I would be a bit careful with the hours. Make sure that it's not interfering with school. Um, because I think at 9:30 you would most likely be in school, and I believe at that age you're not allowed to work during school hours. Hey Ben, thank you for the roses. That is amazing. Very much appreciated. Thank you. Um, so I would be very kind of cautious of that. I would say speak to your parents. Okay, so you're talking 4:30 to 9:30 on at night, not during the day, because that's a little bit concerning if it keeps you out of school. Um, so yeah, I would say 15. I think things will change at 16 because then I think you do enter into the national minimum wage and stuff for young workers and stuff. But until you hit 16, the way I understand it, and I would say probably speak with your parents, as they can probably be better at it for you and guide you on it. Um, but I don't believe at 15 you're able to get national minimum wage, and I think they can um, they can pretty much pay you what they want. And I would say again with hours, it would just need to ensure that it's out. Yeah, I would say if you made 12 and you can document it, you could probably try to ask for 12, but at a young age, it is very difficult to try to negotiate, but it's always worth asking, saying, hey, I worked for this company, this is what they paid me. They paid me X amount. And if it is verifiable and they can and you can document and that organization is willing to verify it, then there's nothing wrong with saying this is what I got paid at my previous job and this is what I'm kind of looking for in that. So I would say take a look. Yes, I would say they would need to get a reference from that job, asking about darn camera. I need to get this thing a bit stabilized because it keeps on moving. So what you do need to get, it's a bit of documentation. It's a bit of documentation regarding what you were paid previously. If you can do that, it's going to make it a lot easier to negotiate pay. So if you have a name of somebody that can verify what you're paid, the number of hours and stuff, then that'd be great. So we've had a really good beginning today talking about interviews, questions, and also to pay. So like I said, for those of you who are looking for a job, I do offer, great. I need to do a little bit with the wiring here. I do offer a bit of support on the website that I have, Leave Start Careers. A free, right now I do have codes, still a few remaining codes for the UK Job Seekers Playbook 2026. Talking about the whole process from beginning to end. It includes examples along with templates and stuff for you to use. And it is available. Like I said, I have a couple more codes left. Available for free download. If you do read it and you do find it helpful, I would ask that you leave a review on my website along, if your account allows it. Amazon. And so a great book. Plus also too, if you're a career changer, I do also have a book on career change. On Career Change UK, talking about making a career change in the UK. And if you are looking for a bit more tips and advice beyond what I can do in this live session, the website also does provide for you a opportunity to book a 15-minute free consultation with me. No pressure, no obligation, to sit through and to talk. So to talk about your options, give you a little bit of a plan, and so it would be really quick. And again, I do offer support for those who want help with writing CV, preparing for an interview, talk about starting your own business, having a look at their LinkedIn profile, social media profiles, to help them find a job, talk about job searching strategies, pay, anything you want to talk about. Do have the ability to support you with that. And also too, if you are looking for other support or want to do a bit more on the follow end of things, I do also offer a subscription service. So as we're kind of talking about a bit of career change today and waiting for a few more questions. So if you do like the video, the live stream, please feel free to please share and to please follow, because the more we get in the way of followers and the more shared, the more interaction we get, and the more lively and more information you get, because the more people that join, the more the conversation grows and the more you get to pick up. So, yes. So, kind of talking about the jobs. And so, making a career change. Because one of the things that really holds people back in the public sector is the guilt. Because, look, you're doing something that is really beneficial to society. As a teacher, police officer, firefighter, nurse, military, you're doing something that has a massive positive benefit to society. And so there's this very kind of almost guilt ridden if you want to leave it. So if you want to leave, there's a bit of guilt. And a lot of times people, when they make career changes, will just do it very blindly and say, oh, I'd love to make a change. And I will just start to apply and apply and apply. And then what happens is, they'll get rejected. And then kind of say, making a career change is not possible. And I would say it is very much possible, but it really requires, and this is what I can work with you outside of the live stream, is it is possible, but you need to have a strategy. It is in this market, especially this market, it is a very competitive market, but the thing that's very interesting about it is there's a lot of jobs out there because they can't fill, and the reason why they can't fill it is because of one thing. The one issue is this, is that they can't find the qualified, because what people are doing at this moment right now is looking for those individuals who can fill the job, and it is because they're looking for very kind of specific people. They're willing to pay more, but they're holding off on hiring because it is a very competitive market. Employers can be selective because they can go for the best candidate. And so when you're doing a career change, you can still do it in this market, but it needs to be highly competitive. It needs to be a very thought out type of plan. And that's what I do offer as a part of my service for the career changer. I do offer a roadmap over a 6 to 8 month period. I do offer skills, a exercise. Hey, thank you, Kennedy. And offer you the ability to map it out and think about it. And it is a 1 hour session over a period of 6 to 8 months with activities for you to kind of do in between, and then kind of come back and talk about it and kind of set forward the next step. So if you are looking for a career change, I do offer that. So what I'm trying to say here is, if we're looking for a career change, if you're looking for a career change, the main thing for you is this. It is important to come up with a plan. It is important for you to come up with a plan, to kind of sit there and target and try to think about, where do you need to go? What do you need to fill up the gaps? What are you interested in? And trying to look at that. Because, if you are working in the public sector and like nursing, police officer, firefighter, teaching, military, you have a lot of transferable skills, but you just need to know how to kind of package it up and how to market it and how to make it, and how to target employers, which ones are going to help you, so you're not spending, a lot of time looking for jobs that just never come to fruition. Um, and it is, kind of that kind of fruition, come to fruition, and, it is that type of thing. So it is, it is possible in this job market um, to make a career change. It is really trying to come together with a plan, trying to identify what it is you want to do and how best to do it. So if you do like to feed, and if you do like to feed, please like, please share, and please send gifts, because when you do send gifts, I don't ask for them, but what it does for me is it helps me to know what is resonating with people. And so then I can adjust my conversations, and it helps me to plan on future content. And for me, what I'm looking at as I'm kind of coming back from my asthma flare up, probably will be doing this. I'm going to try at least next week 3 times, and then maybe start to kind of build back a little bit. So I will plan for another one tomorrow and probably Tuesday, and then see where things go after Tuesday, and maybe I'll schedule a few more. But I'm slowly trying to come back, because it has been a bit of a brutal flare up, and so I am just doing it a bit slowly. So if you have any questions, anything regarding CVs, job interviews, um, negotiating, starting salary, how to apply for jobs, how to target jobs, questions about AI in the workplace, talking about making a career change, university, um, anything about applying to university, UCAS system, workplace situations. Again, feel free to plunk it down below. I will pick it up, and I do pick up on a first come and first served basis. So if you have a question, we've had a couple good questions today on interview and pay. And so, so I would love to pick up a few more, because I am going to be on for about another 20 minutes. So if you have a question, please feel free. Please feel free to ask. More than happy to pick up a question. So, one of the things, again, talking about CVs, one of the questions I do get is, is it a good idea to send out generic CVs? The answer, especially in this very competitive job market in the UK, the answer is no. You should not be sending out a generic CV, CV template. You need to be tailoring your CV for each job. And I know for a lot, that sounds kind of almost counterintuitive, because a lot of people will think about in their job strategy, when applying for jobs, that they just have to blanket the market with their CV and just apply for anything and everything random. And that is probably the reason why your CV is getting rejected. And so if you are facing rejection of your CV, the probably the biggest reason is you're sending out a CV that's generic, doesn't match the job description. And because it doesn't match the job description, employers, recruiters are rejecting it right off the bat. And it's not like, the software that's rejecting it. It's getting rejected not because of the software, but because it doesn't match the job description. And it is getting pushed to, oh, well, thank you, Dee, for the rose. Thank you. And it is getting pushed down because of that. And so, if you want to get an interview, you need to be aligning your CV with the job description. And so, it's very imperative to do that. And again, in very similar advice for interviews too. Because if you're interviewing, again, like I kind of said earlier, if you interview and you give kind of like generic responses, like I'm a people person, that you kind of put on your LinkedIn profile, you're a people person, you like working with people, you work well under pressure, you have ability to manage teams, to lead. Hey, Gareth, good to see you. The reality is this. It's not going to work unless you can back it up with some type of evidence, unless you can show what you have done. And again, like I say, the UK Job Seekers Playbook really goes into this and really helps you with it. And again, I can do a bit more one-to-one with how to be specific in your specific situation. So if you have a question, remember to please put it down below, and I will pick it up on a first come and first serve basis. So if you have a question, it is really important to get you and to help you out. Because this is what I'm here for, is your chance to ask questions. To get something really quick. Usually in this type of format, I try to keep responses short. If you need a bit more one-to-one, I can always arrange it outside of this. And again, check Leap Start Careers for information on how to contact me afterwards. And to arrange something if you want. And again, too, you can always direct message me too on TikTok also too. It is whatever works the best for you. But with TikTok, I'm not always as quick as elsewhere to pick up messages, because I do get a lot of spam messages, and so typically I will just on occasion do pick those up. So if you do direct message me on TikTok, just remember it may take a little bit for a response. But anyhow, so if you have a question and you do like the video, like the live stream, again, hey, Christopher, if you do please please share, please follow. And more than happy to pick up any questions from you. Again, I do pick up questions on CVs, cover letters. It's starting your own business, job negotiate, salary, UK job market, which is, I think, very interesting. And I did a video on this yesterday, talking about there's a kind of like a paradox out there. And on that, and by that I mean, is that we have 5.2 unemployment rate. And so when the cost of 5.2%, resulting from mostly, as I believe, is national insurance increase, by on employers in April 2025. Um, and by doing that, it's made the cost of hiring more. Um, and so employers I've seen is doing it one of two things, is that they're doing a lot of their vacancies via agencies, because then it is a fixed fee for them via agency, and they have a lot of less headache, because it's the agency then handles the administration end of things, um, and the HR side of it, so they don't have to um, add more risk by hiring, because it's now kind of been outsourced. And the other way is that because there is a lot of unemployed people looking for jobs, there's I think about 2.3 or 2.6 people for every job out there versus about 1.9 last year. And so what that means basically is that there's a lot more people looking for jobs. And so what it has done for employers, it's made it easier for them to be picky. It has made it easier for them to be selective. And because they're getting a bit more selective, what we're seeing is an increase in pay. Pay, from what I've seen, is about 6% pay rise and so what that means then is that they're hiring less, but they're being more selective in who they hire. And so, again, it's this very, I think, very kind of seems like a very kind of paradoxical. If you're having high unemployment, you expect lower wages, because there will be people out there looking for jobs who would probably be taking less than, if it was a more, if unemployment was less and employers had to compete for people. And really, that's not really the case. And so what I would say is, if you are looking, the opportunities out there. But again, like I said, it's not generic. It's not going to cut it, especially when there's, over 2 applicants for every job. It's being generic. It will not cut it for you. You need to really up your game. So if you have Karen, if you have a question for me, please put it down. I got 14 minutes here still, and I can easily pick up a couple more questions from anyone. So if you have a question on anything, please let me know. If you do like the feed, please please share, please follow. And if you feel inclined, but you don't have to, please send gifts, because it really helps me to know what is resonating with you. It helps me to adjust the conversation, and it also helps me to plan my future content. So if you do, please send gifts. If you have a question or need a little bit of help, feel free to put it down, and I will pick it up, and let's see what we can do for you. Because like I said, in a kind of a question answer format, I can give you, broad advice, but it is very hard to give very detailed, specific advice in a forum where there is a lot of other people who have questions. So I can only spend a few minutes on each question from each person, so that I can get as many questions as answered. I would, say, if you're looking for advice on, career-related advice, to check out my videos, because I do have a slew of them talking on various topics. So anything you're really looking for, on any question on any topic, it will be, will be available for you. So I would encourage you, I would really encourage you to take a look at my videos. And if you do like them, please follow. If you think somebody would benefit from them, please share. Or if you think that it's going to be beneficial because you have an upcoming situation like a job interview, job application, starting a small business, whatever it may be, save it. So yes, so I do have some questions. If you have any questions, hey Rosie, good to see you. So if you have any questions, Rosie, job related, CV, cover letters, interviews, career change, applying for jobs, first time job application redundancy, applying to university, anything you can think of, please put it down below and I will pick it up for you. I still have about 10 minutes easily. Okay. Okay, Rosie, understand. Good to see you back. So yes. If you have a question, please put it down below and I will pick it up. Anything you can think of in relating to jobs, first time job applications, UK job marketplace, interviews, how do you, what is the etiquette for an online interview? What can you wear on an online interview? What to expect in an Okay, yeah, so you've been looking for work on Indeed and LinkedIn. You found out, okay, Rosie? Oh, that's sorry to hear that. Usually what I found with LinkedIn in both Indeed, usually they're usually proper jobs. I do know kind of from my own feedback that I get is that a lot of a lot of people are finding that LinkedIn is not the kind of the format that it used to be, where you can find jobs. But I do have a lot of success with LinkedIn. I don't find what I find from LinkedIn is I get a lot more contacts from recruiters via LinkedIn than actually getting a job off of it, but it's for the networking and contact. And so it's a request to come on what I mentioned previously earlier before you join. What usually I will wait until I get about 1,500 points to do guest spot, and then I will do a random pick for a 5-minute spot. Usually when I've done guest spots, usually, prior to kind of doing the 1,500 point rule, I found a lot of them was just very kind of disruptive, and it's just never worked out for me. So I do tend to try to limit them because I don't always do it. So yeah, I would say what I always recommend as I would say use like LinkedIn and Indeed as kind of one of the arrows in your job search. Um, but what I would recommend also is to take a look at going to the websites themselves and start to identify, um, and start looking for, if you know the companies that do typically hire in your sector, start looking at them to see if they have anything. And then if you kind of know if they, who they may work with, or, if you see like on LinkedIn, who tends to work with them, maybe start approaching them and looking at their sites. Because I do find when you do look at, um, if you do look at websites, what they will do. Oh, well, thank you for the heart me. Oh, that's nice. Thank you, Rosie. Um, what I would say to you is start to look at the websites. For they will have like a career or job, work for us. They call it different things. But, um, what I would say to you is look at them, look at their jobs, start to do it that way. Oh, thank you for the likes, Rosie. Um, and start to apply that way. Start to look at that way. Sometimes sending out speculative CVs may be um, a way to do it. But I always will say when it comes to speculative, um, there is always a risk because you'll spend a lot of time sending out CVs, but very little return on them. So it will be something that, will take some time from you, and you may not get the results that you expect. Um, but it is a way to kind of let people know you're looking. And it may be a way that, it may be helpful, as a part of what you're doing instead of, you know, it is a way to do it, a bit quicker, to let people know, but it's probably not going to produce any results. Um, I would also say, too, if you can, use LinkedIn as a way to kind of start to search for jobs. If you're in part of groups and start looking at, or companies um, that maybe you're interested in working for, look at them because a lot of times they'll post jobs on LinkedIn. Sometimes they will post on LinkedIn um, instead of just their websites. So again, use a bit, um, use a bit that way. So take a look at LinkedIn and try to use LinkedIn from various perspectives instead of just looking for jobs. Look for maybe companies that are of interest to you and start to look at their own specific jobs. Um, hey, thank you for the compliment, Pamela. Um, yeah, I know it's nursing is one of these things, is a bit harder to find, especially in the UK. Um, but it is, I would say, Yes, I kind of remember that. You do need to think about going back to the RCN. Do you still have the license? Yes, it is. And so you do have, if you're still, are you still looking nursing or looking kind of in the um, public sector to look at disability claims, if I remember right? Yeah, you need to revalidate. Yeah, I think that's going to be, the first thing what you need to do is always revalidate, and then that will definitely, help you along the way. Um, so yeah, so make sure you get revalidated. Then if you're applying for jobs that maybe are requiring nursing, um, current nursing registration, then make sure you get revalidated, because without that validation you won't be able to, you'll struggle to apply unless it's, yeah, that's, I think, maybe a bit of an issue. uh, and yeah, it's going to be, so yeah, you'll need to revalidate, make sure you revalidate, and then you'll be able to, I think, look at other roles. um, yeah. So yeah, so take a look, get revalidated, and then look for roles that where you can use your skills. I think for you, when you're applying, you're doing like what I've been talking a bit about today is career changing, and you're really going to need to make sure that you can look for and identify transferable skills. And if you do need the nursing registration, um, yep. And so if you've been out, um, like I said, it's a question for RCN. How do you revalidate? Um, because I think if I remember the conversations correctly from previously, um, without the revalidation, you're going to be facing issues with the type of job you want. Um, and um, so I think you will kind of struggle and kind of need to work with the RCN and how to resolve the revalidation. So yes, so a Princeman. Hey, thank you, Morgan, for the like. Yeah, I think probably the best thing to do is find work, and then yeah, I think so. Maybe other people are also going through the same or similar issues, because revalidation is always, I think, a big issue. Oh, well, thank you for the roses. That's nice. Thank you, Rosie. Thank you so much. Yep, they may be going through the issues too, and revalidation is, I think, a big topic. It's kind of, the market has changed. It is the reality is, what you really need to start to do in this type of market is really look, um what you need to do is look really specific and really match your skills, because this marketplace is one that, where if you just kind of match, like 60%, you're not going to get the interview. Your application is going to be rejected. You're going to probably have to match the skills on a probably 85 to 90% to do it. And for a career change, it's really, it's not impossible, but it is going to be a challenge, because you are, yep, I'm in the same type of situation. I work as a contract manager in healthcare, basically healthcare university setting, and usually get calls. I mean, the second I started a role, I'd be getting calls from a bunch of people. I could basically at that time write, um, and demand whatever pay I wanted, but now it's really changed. Um, and it is difficult for me because I don't live London way. I don't live London. Um, and so it's a little bit harder for me to do it. So really what you need to be doing is start matching very closely with the job. If you are um, doing a career change, you really need to identify your transferable skills. Look at the job to see what skills, if you can transfer over, and then, um, basically remarket, rebrand, but kind of basically restate your skills in a way that is, recruiter friendly, and that's what I typically do. Um, and that's what I do with my service, is that I do help people kind of want to make that career change, and identify how to best CV format and ways to present their skills. Um, so yeah, I know the feeling. A few years ago, I couldn't, my phone wouldn't stop ringing, but now it's a lot harder, um, because of a lot of changes. Especially people want you in the office. Um, Traveling down to London is a lot more expensive than what it used to be, um, and it's just not the same as in. But yet the wages for me really hasn't gone up. Um, the wages haven't really gone up where I can really start to kind of demand, a higher pay to cover the increase in travel expenses. Basically, still have to take it as similar pay than what I'm used to. And so it is very difficult. So really have to focus on identifying where my skills match, and then start applying for roles that match my skills. So yeah, so if you do have anyone out there have any further questions, more than happy to pick up anything else, if you do like it, no problem, Rosie. If you do like the feed, please like, please share, please follow. And if you do feel inclined, though I don't ask or in any way suggest, but I would, if you do like, please send gifts, because it really helps me to know what resonates with people, and what really resonates. Well, thank you, Rosie, for the share. That is really appreciated. So yes, so if you do like, please share. Talking again, today we have been talking a bit about it's a lot easier to get a new career in this job market. For me, I don't do this for the money because I make very little from TikTok. So I don't make a lot from TikTok. It is really, really difficult to make a lot unless you're doing TikTok, as your full-time job and you have a big following. You don't make a lot. For example, my spouse is TikToker. She, has a lot more followers than I do. She has well over 20,000 now. No, it really doesn't. And she only probably makes, with her large following, she makes well over 20,000. Been in the Daily Mail several times with her TikTok videos. And she only makes probably 200 or 300 pounds a month. 200 pounds a month from TikTok at best. Low end she'll make 50, high end maybe 200. For me, I just have over 4,100 followers, and if I'm lucky, in a month, I will make about 30 pounds. And that's including kind of like that includes the live streams that I get from coins. That also includes kind of the monetization, kind of like the sales end of things, promoting products, getting free samples. And even if I, get free samples are not like really kind of luxury type of things like you would think, like big huge name brands. It is a lot less, and with very few sales. Okay, yeah, Patrick, 3 months, yeah. It is a good job. It is a good experience to have, especially investment banking. I don't believe all internships now have to be paid. I think there is a bit of okay. Okay. Investment banking is always good. You're doing an internship. It gets you the name on, the name on the CV, and a lot of times the name will, the name will definitely, will get you kind of looked at. Now with Artane, it looks like they're Middle East, more corporate finance for the Middle East. Again, what I would say, it is going to be the name. If you're doing the internship, it is going to, again, once you complete your internship, depends on 90,000. It really depends where you're talking about. If you're talking 90,000 pounds, that's pretty insane. But if you're talking US or elsewhere, it may be, pretty minimal. Um, so pounds, yeah, that is a lot. Um, yeah, so again, kind of going back to kind of like the TikTok into things, like I said, it is not a really big money maker. You do really have to invest the time and the effort into it to really build up a following. You need to really kind of craft a following, and create and generate interest in you so you get the followers. And it is not. I think if you want to make a career change, it is not impossible. I've done a video on that talking about making a career change in 2026. It is not impossible. It is just needs to be a very kind of strategic plan and well thought out, and not very kind of random applications. Because if you're just going to randomly apply to make a career change, 9 chances out of 10 it's going to fail. I think if you are I think after you do your internship, Patrick, what you're going to do is, I mean, again, investment banking, you can start to look at other investment banking jobs and really start to, the name will open up, I think, opportunities for you. Thank you for the follow, SNB. Um, um, I think so. Psychomatic. Um are you looking? Are you sending out the same CV every time? I don't right now, Cage. I don't think right now. Um, I don't think AI impacts jobs that much. I tend to disagree with a lot of the kind of the doom and gloom sayers. Um, I would say if you can get into JP Morgan, go ahead, apply for it. Take it. It really helps. Because the names will really be kind of like your calling card when you apply for jobs after graduation. Um, I think AI is at kind of like at the stage when computers hit the marketplace, jobs, became very commonplace in 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 the workplace. I think it is um same CV, yeah, I would say again, make sure any job description you have, you tailor it to that, drawing on your experience. I think if you've already graduated in 2024, then I think trying to do internships is going to be harder for you, Patrick. Um, I think it is. Yes, there is. I know AI already replacing nurses in like Japan or is it Korea. There's a lot of um, they have already had AI replacing nurses. Um, I would say, in regards to AI, from my experience, it is still, um, I would say, my own experience with AI is that it is, it still requires a lot of oversight. It requires somebody to basically input the information and then to validate the information. Um, so it's making things, I think, a bit faster. I've used AI a lot, both in business and in my own personal life. AI can make things a lot more efficient. It can do a lot more complex tasks for you that would probably take you hours or days to do, and does it in a matter of minutes. But I don't see AI as something that will kill off jobs and all the jobs will be done by AI. I don't believe that kind of doomsday scenario. What I do believe, it will be a similar path like computers, and it will may do away with some, reduce the number for other jobs and create new jobs along the way. I think it is going to shift the marketplace jobs, and I think they'll create new jobs. Um, for AI, I think it will, for certain jobs like programmers, coders, I think AI will, in time, get rid of them, because I still believe playing with the AI coding and creating things with code from AI, it makes a lot of errors, and you still have to spend a lot of time fixing those errors. Um, and so I think it will shift the role of the coder, to check and to validate and to test. Um, Whereas the AI can actually write the code very quick. It can do it in a matter of what would probably take a programmer a coder several weeks to do, probably can be done in a matter of 10-15 minutes by AI. But like I said, I've used AI to write like web pages, websites, and what AI does is makes a lot of mistakes. And then you have to I've spent, not just recently, almost a whole day fixing AI mistakes, um, on the server side of stuff, to fix server side stuff of AI. Um, and so I think before AI gets rid of like whole brand of jobs, I think it really still needs to really develop. And so I don't think AI jobs are going to be gone. I think jobs will be redefined. I think some jobs may go as a result, but I don't think it will be um, the kind of doom and gloom that a lot of people say it is. Um, um, oh, geez. I think for AI, what really just needs to be, um, I do LinkedIn reviews. I do include it as part of my service. Best thing to do is message me, Cage, afterwards, and I can talk to you more about like pricing, what do I do, and understand what you need, and we can have a bit more of a discussion. Um, it's up to you. As for your question, Zygomatic, if you're looking, um, I think what I've found when I've had discussions with people about why is it difficult to find a job in the UK, the one thing that really resonates is jobs seem to be very kind of concentrated in very specific areas like London, around the London area, the home counties, Birmingham, you know, um, Leeds, Manchester, kind of like into the York area. Um, and and basically that's where most of the jobs basically tends to wind up. And so kind of what you kind of need to do is kind of start to make that decision, or do you want to apply for jobs at all cost, or are you willing to kind of make up, a and take a bit of a compromise, um, and think about maybe finding something a little less, that you're willing to accept, just so you can stay in Norwich. Um, I think when you talk about finance, you're really talking about two areas in the country where finance jobs really tend to dominate, and that is, I think for you, it becomes that decision. And I think the two areas to look at would be London or Leeds. I know there's a lot in Leeds in the way of finance. So take a look. Thank you for the follow, Zygomatic. I think with a good question, GJ Manny, personal trainer. If you're looking to become a personal trainer, I think you do need to set yourself up as a business. And again, if you look for your local authority council, a lot of them will have like small business startups, and start to take a look at them for small business startups. They will help you with like writing a business plan, which you will need to do. If you're looking to get financing, and as a personal trainer, I would suspect you probably would need to get some financing. So take a look at that and get yourself set up as a business, get your website started up, and start to really begin to maybe move that way forward. I think DJ, it is a bit more, I think, limited. I think a lot of people want to be DJs. I think, hey, thank you for the follow, Cage. I think a lot of people want to be DJs, but I think you really just need to decide, long term, what is your goal. And if you want to do a bit of DJing, that's great, but really, I think what you really need to say to yourself and really look at what really makes you the happiest. What do you enjoy the most? Where does your passion lie? I think probably long term, the personal trainer will, in my opinion, would be probably a better place. I think as you get older, you may find that you don't want to do DJing anymore, or hey, thank you, Dan's, for the rose. You may not find that you want to do it, and so I think you just need to think, look at the long-term viability of doing DJing and personal trainer. I think probably, hey, thank you, Kate, for the heart me. Thank you. So yeah, so I would say take a look, and think about where is your passion, what is more important to you, and then start to take a look at your, oh, thank you for the creeper, Cage. Oh, that's amazing. Thank you. And then start to take a look at, it is really seasonal. And thank you for the ice cream and the rose and Mamma Mia. Thank you all. Thank you. And the go for it. Thank you, Cage. Thank you, Ice Cream Truck Killer. That's great for the rose. Thank you. I would say, again, DJing is, and you're right, it is very kind of seasonal. And if you're going to do it, it's a great thing to have. I think probably, on the back, it's a back end to maybe help you as you try to get your personal trainer business going up, to kind of support you during that process. You still have some income coming. You can use it to develop the business, your personal trainer. And then as you do it, maybe, hold off on DJing, maybe do a few select gigs where you can charge a bit more. And keep it as a way to kind of keep some money in, so at least you have a little bit of a flow of cash flow. But again, you will probably at some point have to face the determination: do you keep the DJing going, or do you, go fully to the personal trainer and the things? Because I think as the personal trainer starts to get built up and you start to build a reputation and you're getting calls and getting demand, it is going to be probably something that you may need to look at and consider either scaling back or ending. But it is, something that you can do, at least as you try to get your personal trainer up. to help to support you and to make that transition. Like I say again, would push you to get a hold of your local authority council, because they have a wealth of information and support to get small businesses up and running, and it is at no cost to you, so you can get a lot of good resources from them. They will really help you to get it up and running, and it is a quick, easy way. It's a quick win for you to help you get it up and running, and it will probably. So yeah, so yeah, I would encourage that. No problem. That's what I'm here for. Um, that's what I'm here for. Um, so yeah, and kind of like I say, call myself career change guy, more or less, because I'm pretty relaxed. Yeah, and they do make a lot more in the U.S. than what you make here. And the thing is with the exception of healthcare, it is cheaper. You get taxed less. Um, It's not the best situation. It is not the best of situations. It is. I know it is quite divided. It's a lot has changed over the years there. Yeah, engineers in the U.S. make, for lack of a better term, and apologies for saying it, shitloads more than you do make as an engineering graduate um, in the UK. If you graduate from a top engineering school, especially in aerospace and chemical or electrical, um, you can easily start six figures. And unlike the UK, um, you're not being taxed at 40 or 50%. You're only um, getting charged at you're being charged probably in the 20 to 30% range. I would have to look up the exact figure, but in the 20 to 30% range. University fees are ridiculous. Totally agree with you on that. It is, again, it's one of these things that people in the UK complain um, about university fees, but what you have to pay for university in the UK is a drop in the bucket what U.S. university students pay. Um, but again, a lot of, depending on the major, you will. I do think I don't think that there. I think this out. My having lived both in the U.S. and UK, and I've been in the UK now for about 30 years. Um, I think the difference is it's more political than it is cultural. I think in the U.S. it's a lot cheaper, and there's a lot more competition. And I think the reason why, and this is strictly my own opinion, um, why wages are so depressed in the UK when you compare them to the US is because there is less competition for jobs. So, like in healthcare, you have a socialized system where you have the NHS. So, the NHS, I think, takes about 90% of all basically like hospital admissions and stuff. So, that is, you know, so that really means that there's no competition for nurses, doctors. And so basically, it's NHS because it is so big. that they can basically set the wages. So the wages then, because it's socialized, it gets basically by the government. And so, hey, thank you, Cage, for the go for it. Um, so it means then it gets set by that. So there's no competition between, two competing hospitals in the same area for a nurse or a doctor, pharmacist, whatever. So it's basically, if you're going to become a nurse in the UK, it's basically NHS, or if you're lucky, maybe you can find something private. Hey, thank you, Asmar, for the follow. So it becomes then private. So it's, you can try maybe find something private, but for the most part, it is NHS. So you got this one part, you lose your job, NHS. There's very little opportunity to move anywhere else. You can draw on your skills, rebrand yourself, remarket yourself. No problem there. However, you're not able to really do as much in the way of nursing. And so it becomes a very kind of, so people either stay in nursing not because they want to, but because it's the only opportunity for them to be a nurse. And so it becomes so then, it kind of creates this other feeling like, why go into nursing? Because you only have one opportunity, and that is basically work for the NHS, or if you're lucky, if you have dual citizenship, you can just easily just move there to the U.S. At and start looking and applying for jobs, start your own business. And I think too, the other issue with the U.S., the difference is there's a lot less regulation. U.S. tends to be very light touch, so it's a lot cheaper and easier. I would say if you want to move to the U.S., I think secure a job, get some money saved, and it gives you, and you have an income. Start looking, for the U.S. If you're looking, the other way from the U.S. moving to UK, try to secure a job. Hey, ATH, thank you for the follow. And I think it is that way. It is going to be, I think it's not going to be. I think the UK is going to be a bit of a challenge in the way of jobs. I don't think it's impossible, because I know employers right now in the UK, about 76% of them, say they can't find the staff that they need. It's because they're being very selective. And so you would need to be ensuring that you're applying for something where your skills virtually match. If you don't, I think you're going to struggle. Yeah, it's 35. That's a laugh. As a robotics, you're easily six figures US. You're probably six figures, at least probably 125,000 minimum, probably 160, even 200,000. With bonuses, profit sharing, any royalties, you're probably talking, very comfortably six figures in a very kind of comfortable lifestyle. Depending on the company, they may even buy you a house or give you a house to live in, and give you a lot more, even though it may not be, cash. Americans tend to be a lot more generous with benefits. So at that, potential, you may have a house. Oh yeah. I know when I lived in the U.S., one of the hospitals bought houses for doctors. They bought houses for doctors. They buy cars. They give you, they do splash a lot of the benefits on. My spouse is from Sheffield originally, and she wanted to return. So, Americans tend to be a lot more generous with benefits. So the company may even give you, stock options. Ah, so, yeah, yeah, it is cheap. Hey, no problem. That's what I'm here for. Love the conversations. That's why I do this. Um, so yeah. Um, so anyone have any more questions? Um, so anyone have any questions? I mean, this has been a really nice day. Um, Again, always look at the companies. I always think it's better. There's also like a lot of the websites in the UK are also in the US, like Indeed. Hayes is another one. Hayes, Indeed. Again, use LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a good one. You probably have more luck with LinkedIn for the US. Indeed is. I have mixed feelings on Indeed. It is better than I think some of the other websites. So again, I would say look at the companies. If you're looking robotics engineering, you're probably talking a lot of kind of like West Coast, maybe Southwest, so like California. Okay. So yeah. So again, it would be there's a lot of opportunities. So I think West Coast tends to be really the agent. Um, I think the West Coast tends to be a bit more on the technological end of things. So again, California. Um, you can always, depending on the wording and not being able to see the NDAs you've signed, the general advice I would say is don't name the company. Don't name anything that would be, hey, thank you for the sleigh. Um, don't name anything that would, oh, thank you, Cage, for all the diamonds and Heart Puff, and you're awesome. Thank you. And Gigi, thank you. Um, Avoid anything that would identify them. Anything that you worked on would be identifying them. So you can always say, I've worked for, you know, worked on, certain robotic projects where I'm bound by NDA, so I can't get much into it other than to say it was robotics project on, automation, um, that looked at maybe simplifying the process so that, you know, it is just avoid, the advice I would give just generally without seeing the NDAs would just say to you, don't identify the company, don't identify anything that would, identify the work that you've done for them. But you can, hey, thank you for the overreact. But you can just talk about very broad, very kind of nuance, what you've kind of alleged to, like I've worked on, for various organizations coming in, having to sign NDAs, because I'm sure the organizations you would be working with or interviewing with would know that, a lot of them will come in with NDAs. You know, um, you know, it's like, how do you get around that? It's just talk about, very broad, very, general. That doesn't, in any way, shape, or form are identified the work or the organization or anyone that may be involved with it, that may know of it. So if you just kind of keep it very broad, very vague, and just talk about it in generalities, you might be all right. Again, depending on what the NDA says. So it may be worth just, hey, shit, thank you for the file, having a good read through the NDA and maybe getting some legal advice on what you can talk about. But without seeing it, my instinct would be to say speak very broad and very general, but you can, as long as it doesn't identify anyone covered by the NDA, you probably would be all right. But again, just make sure it doesn't in any way, shape, or form, directly or indirectly, identify anything covered by the NDA, and it'd be best to get some, I think, legal advice on it and what's covered by it. So yeah, that's a yeah. I think the biggest mistake new jobbers seek, there's a couple things I think. One is, I think one is being vague. I think one is being vague. It is, I think when you're doing an interview, it is, people want to speak kind of like on your LinkedIn profile, great people person, works well under pressure. You need to really back it up with evidence. When did you do this? What was the situation? What was your intervention? What was the result? I think also too is people go in there thinking that they can wing it, and you can't. You need to know something about the company, their values, and you need to understand the job description and then relate your experiences back to the job description. I think when you're talking about, if you're talking in the U.S., when you're talking about 5 years, what I've found, having lived in the U.S., and things may have shifted since then, but what 5 years means is that you're not really a newbie. You just haven't just graduated. You have some experience as an engineer. So I've always, when I was in the U.S. applying for jobs, 5 years was just kind of like a finger in the wind. It means that you have some experience. You're able to deal with things confidently. You don't need somebody to hold your hand to start you out. You're not starting out fresh, so you don't need a lot of hand holding. You can come in, kind of start to do the job. You may need some direction, but you're able to, exactly, yeah. So you're able to come in, do the work. You can maybe function not at, a little bit higher than entry level. So you're not coming in functioning at somebody who's at entry level. You do have some experience behind you. You can kind of come in, do the things, expected to you. You're ready to kind of maybe move into a more senior role. So I would never always use the 5 years as, as black and white. I have to have 5 years. If I'm 4 years, 11 months and 29 days, I can't apply because I don't have the 5 years. Thank you, Dane, for the follow. It is more about, um, it's more about what you can do and where you're at. And so I always use that as a gauge. So 5 years says you can come in, do the work. You're not entry level. Your skills exceed entry level. You got some skills. You're able to do it. Um, oh, is it? Okay. I will have to fix that. Yeah, I just updated it. Um, so yeah, so yeah, so yeah, use it more as a. My advice would be to use it more as kind of a gauge than it is something than as something else. As like I said, a kind of a as an absolute. So I just fixed that link, just made a quick update to it. Like I said before, I was playing around. I'm using AI to help me fix some of the routing issues, and it took took almost like a day to do it using AI to fix it, but finally got it to work. So yeah, it's up and fixed. So yeah. So again, it's always about just kind of thinking about where is it. So 10 years, if it says 10 years experience, you're probably talking senior level, able to operate at a mid senior type of position. Okay, so yeah, so if you've been 20 years and I think we're getting into kind of the PDP season, Dan. Have you spoke to your supervisor, line manager, and saying that you'd want to move up? Have you also looked at, are you looking to stay within the company or are you looking elsewhere? Okay. So if you're looking to move up, PDP season's coming up. Have that conversation with your line manager. Say to your line manager, you want to be promoted, you want to move up, you've done this. If you're starting to look elsewhere, advice would be to always keep it. Personal development plan. They call it different things. Personal appraisals. Performance reviews. Companies call it different things, but it is usually they'll do it one or two times. They'll do it at the beginning of the year if they run from a January to December financial calendar. If they follow the UK financial advice, financial calendar. What we will do is they will do it like right now. Usually it will start to come up at the end of March, April through like June. So you can talk about, where do you want to go? How have you, what have you done good and stuff. Use it to say to them that you'd look. If you're looking outside, I always advise keep it to the low side, keep it close to you. Don't tell anyone. Don't post it on any social media. Don't post it on, any social media. Keep it close to yourself, and don't let anyone know. If you are going to start apply outwards, then start to let people, as part of your cover letter, your email to them, tell them flat out, you don't want any contact made with your employer until an offer is made. If it's online in the application says don't contact reference until interview, ticket. Because it is a very competitive market. Employee costs are high, and it's really easy if they want to cut some costs to cut somebody who they think are not going to last. So always keep it close to yourself. If you are struggling, if you want a bit more help, either direct message me afterwards or use the information in my profile and contact me that way. We can arrange a bit more of a talk. I would say, the best thing for you is, start to come up with a plan, start to identify what it is you want to do, think about what is it that you want to do, look at the skills that you have, and think about what are the skills, if any, you need, and just start to work it through. And to do it that way, I think it is doable for you. You have enough experience. It's just trying to figure out and to identify for yourself what is your next step. Do you want to look within your organization or look outside? And then, if it's outside, making sure you keep it on the low down so that no one in the organization gets wind of it. Great. That sounds great, Day. So yes. So I think tomorrow I'm going, like I said, going to do it probably. Yeah, and I think you have, and I know people have done sales. There is a bit, for lack of a better word, I think there is a breaking point. People will do it, and there is a point where you just reach it that you want to be able to move on. You want to do a bit more, either like sales manager, or you want to be more in a supervisory or do something a bit different, because it becomes very kind of repetitive. And if you've done it for so many years, you becomes almost automated because you're really good at it. You know how to relate to people, you know how to communicate, but it starts to kind of just wear you down a bit. And you don't feel challenged, you feel bored, and you just, hey, that's good, that's amazing. And it seems like sounds as though your skills and experience is really appreciated to become head of sales. That's amazing. I do have a master's degree in law and a bachelor's. Archie, are you looking to apply for law school? Hey, no problem, Cage. Hope to see you back. And just remember, information is in my profile. What do you mean, Archie? How do you break into law in London? Are you a foreign solicitor, foreign lawyer? Ah, well, that's good. That's really good. If you need help with the interview, like I said, profile or message me. Yeah, so you just so are you doing a law degree then? Okay, so you're doing a law degree. Okay, so with the law degree, what you just need to, again, and I'll be just brutally honest with you, you need to have a 2-1 or full honors first class. If you don't get at least a 2-1, it goes downhill very quickly for you, and opportunities are almost non-existent. Because they do, at least when I did my degrees, they do look really closely at grades, especially for the bachelor's. And if you don't walk out with a 2-1, it is going to be a bit of a struggle. Are you at one of the Russell groups? Because if you're not Russell, um, you may struggle. Um, for if you got rejected from Oxford, if you get into a Russell group, it for law, unlike other universities, law is can't, at least when I did it, was very kind of picky. Um, they do okay, yeah. So yeah, Bristol. Have you looked at like King's or UCL? I know there's like University of Leeds, University of York. Um, there's a bunch. Um, hey, Dr. Gerald, good to see you. Um, so if you're just, I mean, again, if you're, did you look at Cambridge? There's a lot there. So if you do something Russell Way, and you do relatively well, it will open up the opportunities to do, if you want to become solicitor or barrister, it will make it a lot easier. If you don't and you wind up outside of the Russell group, then it helps to get a first class full honors, or you will struggle. Ah, um, you will probably struggle a little bit. Um, with it, but I would say get your ability from having a law degree. Best thing to do is get as much opportunity as you can to do placements, internships. If you can get yourself into a law firm, just even working, hey, nice to meet you, Dr. Jared. Um, and get yourself into a law firm. Even if you are just, just printing, copying stuff for them, it gets you in, it gets your name on a CV, and it helps you when you do start applying around for training contracts in your second year. Um, it will definitely help you um, get any type of placement. It will help you to get further placements. It will help you to get training contracts and help get your chance, because the reality is, if I remember my statistics correct, 40% of those who graduate, finish their LPC, will not have a training contract once they leave. And that's 2 out of 5 people in who do the LPC, by the time they complete it, still will not have a training contract. And I can tell you from my own experience, when I did my LLB, I know a lot of people who did not have a training contract once they completed their LPC, and it took them, some of them, 2 years plus to get a training contract. So it is not an easy ride. It is going to take a lot of work. And the thing to think about, like me, I went with my LLB, LLM. I went the non-practicing route because at the end of the day, it is, you can make a lot more, at least I found, going the non-practicing route than you can practicing. It takes you a long time to make any type of money in law after you graduate when you're practicing, especially if you have to wait to get a training contract, and that is the nature of it. So that's my quick advice to you. I would always say, explore. And it may not be right for you, but always explore your non-practicing route. So what I think I'm going to do right now, it's been 2 hours. I will be back tomorrow at 4:30 a.m. again, doing a live. Yeah, seems like we're getting a lot now. Hey, Leon. So I think I will hang a bit. Hey, thank you, D4RK, for the share. Thank you. And thank you for the follows, everyone. It has been a really nice and great day. So if you have a question, I will hang around for a little bit. And I'll hang around a bit or two for a few moments. So if you do have a question, more than happy to pick up. Yeah, well, thank you, Leon, for the roses. So if you do like the feed, please like, please share. And if you do feel inclined, please think as it really helps me to know what resonates with it. Have you looked at, Leon, have you looked doing apprenticeships? Have you looked at doing like an apprenticeship? Because the one thing I would recommend, if you are, now I know it's a bit hard, but now with you being 18, government has just funded 50,000 apprenticeship spots for those under 25 with small businesses. So small businesses do not have to pay a dime, don't even have to pay anything for their apprenticeship. So it may be worth taking a look at that. The other thing too, if you're looking for jobs, there is always, I would say NHS is always good. There is TikTok tends to get a little bit funny when you paste links, even though it's a government website and there's no copyright violation by me sharing it. But TikTok gets funny with me when I post links to government websites because there is no copyright protection for government websites. So, yeah, if you look under government, if you type in government, UK government, apply for apprenticeships, there should be a link that takes you to that lists UK in the UK government website that will show you the list of available websites, available apprenticeship spots. Hey, thank you for the roses, Leon. Thank you so much. Take a look, and you can search by those and apply. So yeah, so take a look. So if you take a look, if you can't find it, message me afterwards, and I'll see if I can send you the link if it is not available. If you can't find it, message me. Just make sure if you do message, I can respond back. You don't have it blocked. that you'll take messages, and then I can send you the link if you can't find it. But yeah, so there is a UK government site for where you can apply for apprenticeships. So so yeah. So like I said, I think I will end now. And what I will be back tomorrow, 4:30 a.m., taking your questions and having a bit more of a chat. So I want to say thank you to everyone for joining. Thank you for the likes, the shares, and the follows and the gifts. Very much appreciated. And I look forward to seeing you back tomorrow.